You know, when I was first saved, I had a sense of a call to the ministry the day I gave my life to Jesus. There was just something I knew. And I never believed that I had to do it. I never approached it from that negative aspect. But after I'd been in the ministry for several years and had this kidney problem come up and almost died, one of the things that became very real to me was that I didn't have to be in the ministry to keep God happy with me. And that was an incredibly freeing experience. I mean, I'd never gone to the place of thinking that I did have to, but I'd never even considered that I really didn't have to. You know, I don't like sharing subjective experiences too much, but this is one of those that's worth sharing. You know, I'd been over 100 days with my temperature over 100 degrees. And most people don't even survive that kind of stuff. I mean, without devastating physical damage and sometimes mental damage. And just all of these factors were just going on and on and on and on. And there was pain and there was suffering and there was all this stuff. And so at one point in there, when you can't keep the toxins down in your body, when your kidneys don't work right, everything in you hurts. Your skin hurts. I mean, it hurts. Like your skin gets inflamed, and if something just touches you, just to wear clothes becomes this incredibly painful experience. And so one night I had just gone through this about all I could stand it. I just said to the Lord, I think I'm ready to end this, you know. I don't think I can do this anymore. I don't think I can cope with this anymore. And so, you know, I was just praying, and I was really at a place where I felt like I could have just stepped right across that line and gone to be with the Lord. And as I prayed about it, the thought came to my mind, but if I give up now, I will not have finished my course. And so in my mind, the thought came to my mind, so I'll go into heaven a backslid preacher because I haven't finished my course. And as I contemplated that, and as I prayed and sought God, that I really thought the Lord spoke to me and said, no, if you come now, you will just not have finished your course. You will not be backslidden. And the Lord took me through this process basically saying, to live or die is your choice. And if you're ready, you know, if you can't cope with what you're facing right now, you can step across this line, you will come into my glory. You know, I will meet you face to face. There will be no shame. There will be, you know, no guilt, but you will not have finished your course. And there was something in realizing that I didn't have to, that kind of gave me the freedom to want to. And so that was a real liberating thing. And I think, like I said, I don't think I'd ever reached that place where I was thinking I had to be in the ministry to please God, but I think at that time, 8 years into the ministry, I think that probably I might have been headed toward thinking that. You know what I mean? I think there might have been something working in me that was moving me in that direction, or at least something that was affecting me in a way that I didn't have the freedom that I wanted to have in the ministry. So it was a real fulfilling thing. You know, for so many people, we want a life free from challenges. And so when we face hardship, rather than dealing with our own heart and finding contentment and thankfulness and gratefulness, you know, and just in God, that's where we start criticizing and fighting against other things, other people, fault-finding, criticizing, tearing other people down, trying to use force to overthrow what we believe is a hardship. I'll tell you, one of the greatest benefits I've ever had in my life is facing death. Now, I've faced death on the short term several times. You know, short term, I mean a day, a week, something like that, when I'd be struggling with some particular illness. But you know, the first time this kidney thing came up, actually I'd faced death several times before that. I had spinal meningitis as a child. They didn't know what it was, and I had it so long before they took me to the doctor that blood was coming out the pores of my skin. Usually when you're that far gone, you don't ever recover. So, you know, I had a lot of illness in my life. I had a lot of situations that, even as a child, they're like, you know, this kid may not make it through. But when I was 28 years old, I spent 4 years with no certainty, actually 4.5 years, with no certainty that I would be alive another 30 days. Now, it's one thing when you face death and you go, and you they talk about how your whole life flashes before you, and I think for some people it does. When you got 4 years to think about your whole life, when you got 4 years of making decisions based on the fact that I may not live another 30 days, here's one of the things about facing death. Everything that you're confused about, you get crystal clarity. Suddenly, all of the fog and all of the haze is removed when you're facing the possibility of death. And you realize that most of that fog and haze is self-induced by the desire to take the easy way out, take the shortcut, or whatever, But I'm telling you, when you're facing the very probability of death, suddenly it's like, nothing is unclear to me now about my life or my decisions or how I'm living. And you also realize how fleeting any material possession is. You realize how fleeting status is. You realize how fleeting anything in this life is when you face death. And you realize, one of the things I'm really, really certain on is the only thing I will take out of this world with me will be the influence that I've had on people's lives for the kingdom of God and my relationships. That's it. Those are the only two things I'm going to take out of this world with me. And suddenly you start being able to have value in different areas. No matter how good something is that you've seen, God's got something better. No matter how good something is that you've heard somewhere, God's got something better. As a matter of fact, you've never even imagined anything as good as what God has got for you. Hope is the basis from which faith springs. Hope is always about the future. Hope is a confident expectation of something that you're looking forward to, imagining, dreaming about for the future. If you don't live that way, faith will never come alive to actually make that happen. But faith is when a future expectation turns into a present ownership, where something changes inside you that you're no longer saying this is going to happen in the future. You're saying, this is already mine. This is already mine. I like saying that. This is already mine right now. There's a way to move from hope to faith. There's a way to move from some time in the future that's going to happen to this is already mine.